I'm Matt with Let's Talk Music. I'm here with the guys of Mag Electric. They're joining us from New York City. You guys are probably my maybe third from New York City. So pretty cool. How's it going out there?
Great. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
really
good, man.
cold. It's snowing and very
Whoa,
windy,
sorry,
but
poster phone.
yeah, we're going pretty well.
It was snowing today.
Yeah, it's been crappy here too. I don't know
Yeah,
if you guys got any of that like 60 or 70-degree weather in February, but we did, and it was crazy.
Yeah,
yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
it's been a weird winter. Been
Yes, it
really warm.
has.
Yeah.
So, anyways, checked out the new single, Thorn on My Side. Uh, Pretty cool. I liked it. I think that the video itself is like really just it's psychedelic, it's trippy. So tell me about the single and tell me about the video, man. I mean, what was you guys aiming for?
Well, we probably did that song what like a year ago. We wrote it, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think back as to I think I came up with a riff and like a vocal melody, and I really liked it, but like the key was wonky. So I was like, okay, well I got to change the key. I switched to B, and the key was like sounded good, but the riff sounded like way too happy or whatever. So I like changed the tuning on my guitar so it was really low, and ended up sounding really different than the rest of the songs we've written so far. But it sounded like really heavy and cool, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go with this. I wrote some lyrics that kind of went along with that vibe. Um, we the other guys added their ideas. We tweaked the arrangement a lot. And it turned out really nice. That's probably my favorite song out of all the ones we've done so far.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What's your take on it, Scott and Bill?
Yeah, I think that's one of our more like, psychedelic songs. People who I've sent it to, like friends from I used to work in at a record label. I sent it to some of my buddies there and they were like, "Yeah, this is like really cool. Kind of like psychedelic vibes with, crazy effects." And just the person who Jack knew the person who did the the visuals, and they really made it look really like, I don't know, pretty cutting edge, like psychedelic, and
Oh yeah.
also some retro, you know what I mean, like, so.
Yeah, his name, the guy who did the video, is Brennan Gervasi, and his handle is Freak Demographic. He did a really, really good job on it. I mean, it's a simple green screen thing. We shot in a couple hours, went to the studio, just played the song. He just gave it like this whole new life. So yeah, Brendan did a really good job on that.
Yeah, if you saw like pictures of us, actually it's on the Instagram. If you go on our Instagram, there are pictures of us filming it. And it's like it's funny if you see the pictures because it's pretty lame, you know what I mean? It's just us standing in front of a green screen. But when Brennan was done with it, I mean it was pretty epic looking, and matched the song
Mhm.
really well. So really
Yeah,
proud
Yeah.
of it.
yeah, really good.
Yeah, it kind of put me in mind of something that would come out of Natural Born Killers. You ever seen that movie?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's
definitely.
a dark movie.
Yeah.
It did. It was just like the kind of how that was all just the videography, and it was kind of flipped around constantly and this and that, and I mean, and the video kind of made me think of that, and the song is just it's I mean, you can get what it is. It's a thorn in my side. Everybody knows what that means, but like, what is your actual meaning behind it? I mean, was it from an actual experience that happened to you, or did you just kind of like, okay, society is a thorn in my side?
Well, it was a phrase that just popped into my head, and I was like, well, what could this be about? And I don't know if it's necessarily about any one thing. I think we all have something like that, some issue that we're able to deal with and, live our lives, but something that makes life like maybe a little bit more difficult.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Not necessarily about one experience.
So, YouTube, man, you guys are kicking ass on that. 2 weeks release, 36,000 views. That's
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I mean that's something you definitely got to be proud of. Misfits. I like the t-shirt there, Scott.
Oh, thank you.
Tell you what, that was the hardest interview I've ever done. I talked to Doyle. And
Really?
yeah, and he is a yes no guy. So if you do not kind of come up with some good questions or engage him in conversation, you're going to get yes or no.
That's funny. I used to work for this Spitfire Records, and we had Glenn Danzig signed to us for a while.
Hmm.
And I used to have to call his house and like patch interviews with him and like, a magazine or whatever. And it'd always be like, I'd hear him in the background, like, no, I'm not doing it. Or, and then he'll get on the phone. He's really cool. So yeah, it's funny to like, talk to these guys who for me, like are my heroes. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just actually did a interview not too long ago with Steve Zing. I mean, and he was very talkative, very cool guy.
Yeah.
Still chilling out there in Jersey and stuff. And I mean, it was a cool interview. He was telling me about, the Misfits and Danzig and all the different bands, Sam Hain. So
I love Sam Payne. Yeah.
that was pretty awesome. So um
Yeah.
speaking of which, I mean, you guys kind of have you're almost in like the same category, I would think. Like it's almost a dark rock, but with, like I said, the psychedelic vibes. What do you guys think of yourselves as? I mean, where do you put yourself in what kind of genre?
Yeah, just psychedelic hard rock music, pioneered by Black Sabbath, but we're into like the 90s stuff that's along those lines too, Soundgarden,
Hmm.
Coyotes, Typo Negative definitely also.
Oh yeah, I love some
So yeah,
type.
just dark, heavy psychedelic rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always call us like a psychedelic power trio. You know, I feel like that sums it up pretty well.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so have you guys always been a trio, or
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
any interest
Yeah.
in adding a fourth, or no?
Um, Probably not anytime soon.
Yeah,
We talked briefly about adding a keyboard player maybe. Um, but for the moment, I'm really happy with the lineup. Scott kind of does the work of like four people. He's playing bass, singing, doing all these effects pedals and everything. So I think we got our bases covered pretty well. I don't feel a need to add another person right now, at least.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just curious, like, because I know I've talked to some people, they, about like 10 months ago, 11 months ago, and they were a trio, a band, for instance, Valerian Sun out of Pennsylvania. And they were a trio, and they just added a new member, a bass player. So
Oh
they're,
wow.
you know, they're really digging that whole thing. So I, just curious, as to what's kind of, plans you guys got. Also, like, I seen that you guys are getting ready to do a tour in like April, May, up in
Mhm.
the Northeast, as far down as Virginia, anyway west maybe in Ohio.
I think
no,
we'll get there. Yeah.
not this time around. No, no.
Hopefully next one maybe, see how we do on the road and yeah.
Now this is your debut album, correct?
Um Debut single,
Debut
I
single,
guess.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we put out one
But
before.
I can tell.
We did hire
Right,
a
right.
publicist for it. To be honest, we didn't like promote it quite as much, but it's a really killer track. Iron Horse is the name of it.
Yes, I listened to that.
Yeah. So that was the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I just go by, the press releases that I get. I mean, it's I try to look stuff up online, and that's how I heard Iron Horse, because when you look you guys up, your videos pop up, and a little information, which I mean is pretty cool, because like you look me up and there ain't shit. So you guys got at least kind of a Wikipedia going, and I mean, you seem to be doing very well with this new single. I mean, like I said, 36,000 views in 2 weeks. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, thank you.
So I mean, when you guys hit the road, are you going out with anybody, or are you just kind of doing like a solo tour?
It's just no, we're not supporting anyone. We're just we decided there were a couple of places we want to hit, like up near Maine. And then my dad lives in the Pennsylvania area, so we're gonna hit like a couple. The furthest west we're going is Harrisburg in Pennsylvania. And then Jack is also grew up in DC, and my whole family, my dad's side is from Baltimore, so I love the area too. So we're going down DC, Baltimore, and Virginia. But we just decided we're just gonna do this, by ourselves, not supporting anyone, and with no support, just playing with random bands in whatever town we're playing in.
So Scott, you say you used to work for a label. Is that going to come into play for your band?
I mean, it was a while ago. I still have like friends that, from when I worked there. So I've just been like reaching out to some friends like there were a couple of entertainment lawyers that work there. So I'm reaching out to them for, just see if there's any assistance or help or what direction we should go if as far as like getting licensing or looking into, licensing for our songs. Because I think they have potential there for sure. If it's in, gets it into the right hands. And um when we started this band, we didn't really know, like, we just wanted to, play rock and roll. And it just turned out that a lot of our songs, or maybe half of our songs, or a little bit less, are about motorcycles. Um, and so I might just look into like seeing about licensing through, some of these avenues, motorcycle apparels, companies, I don't know, just see what happens, and then hopefully the tour will, give us a little bit more, exposure, and maybe the next tour, we will maybe hopefully support somebody that, and just take those steps, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So why I've got your face up, because the other two are hidden right now.
Yeah.
What is it, man, that got you started in music? What is it that like got you into playing bass and the record industry and everything like that?
Um, well, I mean, growing up, I grew up in New York and was, definitely in like the outcast type of crew in high school. The burnouts, the metalheads or whatever. So we were just like, music was a form of therapy for me. It was the thing I could go to for, and I'm just talking about listening to back then.
Right.
Getting into like, into heavy metal, then punk rock, then hardcore. Um, and just I've made so many friends through just the hardcore and metal scenes that are like, you know, better than my parents or without having parents. Like, they're my support system. And um, yeah, just growing up, and then I'm just becoming friends with like tons of hardcore bands from Long Island, hanging out with them all the time. I picked up a bass. And then I ended up joining the Navy. I started playing bass, just like practicing. And then when I got out, I started, taking it more seriously. I got out in like 2000 and just got more serious, or a little bit more serious. Started my first rock and roll band back then, and just, so that's where my background kind of is with music and how I got into it, and my love for it.
Awesome. How about you,
Yeah.
Bill?
I mean, I started playing when I was about 14. My dad was a drummer growing up, but he quit when he was like 21. But he kept he always had like a set around, and I like wanted to play guitar, but I like already had the drum set around, so I decided to pick that up. I was huge into like Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and pretty much anything that Jeff Porcaro plays on. My favorite drummer of all time. I have a huge portrait of his face on my leg. Um, and yeah, I mean that's how I got into it. I've always, ever since then, always been in music, always been, involved in some sort of project. And then in the last like 6 years, I've also got involved in like being like a private drum teacher, teaching music, just coming at it from another angle. Um, yeah, it's pretty much my story.
Awesome, man. How's that go? I mean, you doing pretty good with the music teacher thing?
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, now I get to do entirely online, which is nice. And I mean, there are a lot of things about it that are really, really great. And there are a lot of things about it that kind of suck. Like, you're self-employed, like I have to pay for my own health insurance, that kind of stuff.
Right.
You have to constantly like be finding new people. Um, but it's overall, it's definitely worth it. I'll never go back.
Well, and I mean, you listed a couple of big names there. I mean, you got John Bonham and freaking Bill Ward. I mean,
Yeah.
have you ever watched that video of Paranoid, or is it no War Pigs? It's a live video, and Bill Ward is playing on this small kit, and you're like, are you freaking kidding me? All that is coming from this little kit, but he is.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that video. I also, in addition to this band, play in a like an Aussie tribute band, and we played War Pigs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen all those live videos of him doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was something else, man. I'll tell you. So, all right, Jack, your turn, buddy. What you got in the guitar and vocals, man?
Well, I mean, ever since really as long as I can remember, I wanted to play guitar. So I was just badgering my parents to get me one, and they did. They paid for lessons. They've been very supportive of it. Um, yeah, played in bands starting in middle school, I guess, throughout high school, throughout college, and really ever since. Um, but yeah, started singing, I mean, more recently, maybe like 12, 13 years ago, something like that.
Mhm.
Just for mainly for putting out albums. I have like recording projects that I do. Um, and then gotten into it live too now. Um, but yeah, I mean, music's most of what I think about, you know what I mean? Most of what occupies my brain. So
Mine too, bud. I feel
yeah.
it. My wife bought me this record player. It was about yay big, looked like a little briefcase. And recently I went to plug it in, and for some reason it didn't work. So she got the protection plan on it. I did the claim and ordered a new one. It's like a vintage style. It's got this big dial on it. I actually just made a short about it because I was so excited about it. And sitting there listening to these records and stuff, man, it is. I love music. That's why I do this. I love to talk to musicians. I love to, experience new music. Um, you know,
Yeah.
I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s. So, I was kind of the hair metal, and I didn't get much into grunge, but I mean, I loved hair metal. New metal, but I mean, this whole thing, I'm doing bands from Europe now, and just all over Brazil. And I mean, it's freaking phenomenal, the amount of diversity that I get from these publicists. It's like I've done a couple of bands from India that they incorporate um their traditional instruments into metal, and it's freaking amazing.
Whoa, that's cool.
That sounds
So I
cool.
mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, you guys are out in New York City, and I don't know if I would have come across your music or not. I mean, but with this your publicist and press release and stuff like that, I get to come across it, I get to enjoy it, I get to put it, you guys up on my YouTube so that people, more people can experience, what you guys are doing, because it's great. And I mean, that's what I love about talking to musicians and love about music is, I mean, you guys are pouring your daily lives and your heart and soul into this. And so far you're getting a hell of a response, and that's got to feel good to you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure does.
Yeah, definitely.
So I bet you guys are pretty excited about getting out there and playing live.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so much fun. Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of bands that I talk to. They're like, yeah, we record, we do this, we do that, but we're a live band. We get on stage, we're energetic, we interact with the crowd and stuff like that, and that's the kind of thing that people as fans look for, and I know that's the same energy that kind of bounces back and forth between the musicians and the fans, is not only just the performance, or let's just say mosh pits, or crowd surfing or whatever, but also it's just you know everybody is in that place for one freaking reason, and that's to have a good time and jam.
Right.
And that's, I mean, I envy you guys. You got the greatest job in the world.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I
Yeah.
mean, I've loved music since I was knee high to a grasshopper, and it's just been, this has really been like a dream come true. I actually remember one of my publicists, or not my publicist, the publicist that I work with. She was like, are you having fun? And I said, the time of my life. I mean, this has been great. I'm not your conventional interviewer. I just kind of, I hit on, the subjects, your single, your album, your touring, whatever. But I just like to, talk about music, and that's why I call it Let's Talk Music.
It's great. Yeah.
So, what are we looking forward to in, the rest of 2023? New singles. I know you guys are getting, like I said, hitting the road in April, early May, but we're gonna lay down another single.
Oh yeah, we got one that's entirely done. We got a video for it that's almost entirely done, maybe done. I don't know. Yeah.
It's pretty close to done. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna get that out. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe
It's early
hopefully before
summer.
the tour. Yeah.
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 I think that should be doable. We've got another couple that are partially done. As far as the studio portion of it, we haven't talked about whether or not we're going to do videos for them, but yeah, we got lots of stuff in the pipeline. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we should send Matt and if before it comes out, we should send him the video for Ride. It's a really fun video. It's like I'm riding a motorcycle, we're like chasing each other down the street, shooting each other with Super 8 film. We're playing, Buck Hunter in this like rock and roll dive bar. It's a lot of fun. It's a really cool video.
oh yeah, sounds like it was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's another thing to, the music side, is like, you guys get to do these videos, and I know back in the day when people were spending two, three, $400,000 on a damn video, it was a lot of work and this and that. And you get into videos today, and people are like, yeah, we shot this thing for a couple grand with some friends and this and that. We went to clubs, we did this, we did, and it works out. I mean, and that's pretty cool to hear that, hey, we had fun making this video, because I've heard some horror stories about videos.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
budgets, huge budgets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I mean, that's one of the great things about, YouTube, is it doesn't take much to get somebody's attention with that, and the videos. And back in the day, you had to spend that big budget, and it had to be on like MTV or VH1 or something to get seen. And now there's so many freaking platforms that you guys can get out there in a lot of different ways, and it shows. Like I said, I mean, that's I think probably the most out of a lot of the bands I've done in 2 weeks, seeing 36,000 views. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Nice.
All right, guys. Well, we're just about out of time. I appreciate you guys coming on. Like I said, I hope that you enjoyed yourselves. I'm not your conventional interviewer. I just chat, ask questions.
Yeah, it's great.
That's how I do. I'm not gonna like, well, what's your wife's name? What's your kid's name? Do you have any pets? That's not my business. I just want to know, what makes you tick as a musician. So
Yeah, it's great. It's good.
So, all right, guys. Well, I will get this edited and up, and I'll send it to you through your socials. I'll send it to Alice and everything, and let's get the ball rolling even more for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you,
Yeah,
Matt.
thanks so much, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
All right, you too. Thanks, Matt.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.